Have you ever felt a deep sense of peace while walking in a forest? Or watched the sun set over the ocean and felt like you were part of something much bigger than yourself? Many of us have. We feel a connection to the world around us, a quiet whisper that speaks of old and powerful truths. This feeling is a doorway. For some, it is the doorway to what we call paganism. It is a spiritual path that has been misunderstood for a very long time. It is not something to be feared. Instead, it is a way of seeing the world that is filled with beauty, wonder, and a profound respect for life in all its forms. The word pagan itself has a long and complicated history. It comes from a Latin word, which simply meant someone who lived in the countryside or a country dweller. When Christianity became the dominant religion of the Roman Empire, the term was used to describe those who held on to the old, pre-Christian beliefs. It became a word used to dismiss, to label people as outsiders. But words have power, and over time, many people have chosen to reclaim this word. They wear it not as a label of shame, but as a badge of honor, a connection to the earth and to ancient ways of understanding the divine. This journey we are about to take is one of discovery. It is not about converting you to a new belief system. It is about opening a window to a different way of seeing the sacred. We will look at how people today are finding meaning in these earth-honoring traditions. It's a story about returning to our roots, about listening to the wisdom of the seasons, and about finding our own personal connection to the universe. This path is not about following a strict set of rules written in an old book. It is about writing your own story, guided by nature, your heart, and the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. So, I invite you to walk with me for a little while. Let's set aside what we think we know and approach this with an open mind and a curious heart. Whether you are actively seeking a new spiritual home or are simply interested in the many ways humans connect with the divine, there is something here for you. Paganism, in its modern form, is a rich and diverse tapestry, woven with threads of history, mythology, and personal experience. It is a path that honors the individual journey while celebrating our connection to the great, beautiful web of life that sustains us all. One of the first things to understand is that paganism is not a single organized religion like Christianity or Islam. There is no central holy book, no single leader like a pope, and no universal set of doctrines that everyone must follow. Instead, it is better to think of paganism as a large and welcoming umbrella. Beneath this umbrella, you will find a wide variety of different spiritual paths, traditions, and individual beliefs. What unites them is a shared set of core values and a deep, abiding reverence for the natural world. It is a spiritual family with many different branches, each with its own unique beauty. At the very heart of most pagan paths is the belief that nature is sacred. The earth is not just a resource for us to use, it is our mother, our home, and a living, breathing entity. The changing of the seasons, the cycles of the moon, the rustling of leaves in the wind, these are not just physical events. They are seen as spiritual moments, expressions of divine energy. Pagans often see divinity as being present in everything, in the trees, the rivers, the stones, and the stars. This can take many forms. Some see a god and a goddess, while others honor many different gods and goddesses from ancient pantheons. Still others see the divine as an all-encompassing life force, a spirit that flows through everything. Another key principle is the value placed on personal experience. In many religions, faith is based on accepting a set of beliefs or scriptures passed down through generations. In paganism, while ancient wisdom is respected, your own personal experience, intuition, and connection with the divine are considered just as important, if not more so. It is a path of direct revelation. This means that your spiritual truth is something you discover for yourself, through meditation, ritual, and time spent in nature. It encourages you to ask questions, to explore, and to find what resonates most deeply with your own soul, rather than accepting something simply because you were told to. Finally, paganism embraces life as a cycle. We see this cycle everywhere in nature. The sun rises and sets, the moon waxes and wanes, the seasons turn from the life of spring to the stillness of winter and back again. Pagans see our own lives, and the universe itself, as part of this same beautiful, endless dance of birth, growth, death, and rebirth. Death is not seen as a final end to be feared, but as a natural transition, a part of the great mystery. This cyclical view of time and existence helps foster a sense of continuity, connection, and acceptance of all of life's phases, both the light and the dark. Because paganism is such a broad term, it helps to look at some of the specific traditions that fall under its umbrella. Each path has its own unique history, practices, and ways of seeing the world. One of the most well-known modern pagan paths is Wicca. Developed in England in the mid-20th century, Wicca is a religion that typically honors a horned god and a triple goddess. Wiccans often practice ritual magic and celebrate the turning of the seasons through a cycle of 8 festivals known as the Wheel of the Year. A core principle of Wicca is the Rede, an ethical guideline that states, "An it harm none, do what ye will," emphasizing personal responsibility and the importance of not causing harm to others. Another prominent path is Druidry. Modern Druidry is inspired by the ancient Celtic priests of Britain and Gaul, though it is not a direct continuation of their practices, as much of their history was lost. Druids have a profound reverence for nature, especially for trees and sacred groves. Their spirituality is often divided into 3 paths of study: the Bards, who focus on creativity and storytelling; the Ovates, who focus on healing and divination; and the Druids, who act as priests, philosophers, and teachers. Druidry emphasizes wisdom, creativity, and a deep connection to the land, its history, and its spirits. It is a path of learning and attunement with the natural world. There are also many pagans who follow paths that reconstruct the beliefs of specific ancient cultures. These are often called reconstructionist paths. For example, heathenry, or Norse paganism, is a revival of the pre-Christian beliefs of the Germanic and Scandinavian peoples. Heathens honor a pantheon of gods and goddesses that includes figures like Odin, Thor, and Freya. They place a high value on virtues like honor, courage, and hospitality. Similarly, there are Hellenic pagans who worship the ancient Greek gods like Zeus and Athena, and Kemetic pagans who revive the religious traditions of ancient Egypt, honoring deities like Ra, Isis, and Anubis. These are just a few examples, and the world of paganism is far more diverse. Many people do not follow a specific established tradition at all. They are known as eclectic pagans or solitary practitioners. These individuals draw inspiration from many different sources: mythology, folklore, different traditions, and their own personal insights, to create a spiritual practice that is uniquely their own. This freedom to forge a personal path is one of the most appealing aspects of modern paganism. It trusts the individual to find their own way to connect with the sacred, using the vast and beautiful tapestry of human spirituality as their guide. So what does it actually mean to live as a pagan day to day? The practices are as varied as the paths themselves, but there are some common threads that weave through many traditions. Perhaps the most universal practice is the celebration of the seasons. Many pagans follow what is called the Wheel of the Year, which marks 8 key points in the Earth's annual cycle. These festivals, such as the winter solstice, also known as Yule, and the summer solstice, or Litha, are times to gather, perform rituals, and align oneself with the energies of the natural world. It's really a way of honoring the Earth's rhythms and recognizing our place within them. Meditation and journeying are also fundamental practices. For pagans, meditation is not just about clearing the mind, it's about connecting with the divine, with spirits of nature, or with one's own inner self. This can be done through quiet contemplation, guided visualization, or even drumming and chanting. The goal is to enter a state of heightened awareness where one can receive wisdom, guidance, or healing. It's a practice of listening to the quiet voice of the soul and the subtle energies of the world around us. This deep internal work is central to developing the personal experience that paganism values so highly. Many pagans also practice some form of ritual. A ritual is a planned series of actions, words, and thoughts performed with a specific intention. It's a way of making the sacred visible and tangible. Rituals can be simple, like lighting a candle to honor an ancestor, or leaving an offering of milk and honey for the spirits of the land. They can also be more complex, involving a group of people, specific tools, and elaborate ceremonies to celebrate a festival or to work magic. Spellcraft, or magic, is often a part of this. It's not about waving a wand and violating the laws of physics. It's the art of focusing one's intention and energy to create change in one's life, in alignment with a spiritual purpose. Finally, A common practice is honoring the divine in its many forms, which often includes ancestors. Many pagans keep an altar or a sacred space in their homes. This is a personal space dedicated to their spiritual practice. It might hold images or statues of their chosen gods and goddesses, candles, incense, and items found in nature, like stones, feathers, or shells. It's a physical focal point for devotion, meditation, and ritual. Veneration of ancestors is also important, as it recognizes that we are part of a long chain of life. By honoring those who came before us, we acknowledge the roots from which we have grown. Whenever we explore something that is different from the mainstream, it's natural that misconceptions arise. Over the centuries, many myths and fears have grown around the idea of paganism, and it's important that we address them directly. Perhaps the most common and most harmful misconception is that paganism is the same as Satanism. This is simply not true. Satan is a figure from Christian and Abrahamic theology, representing the ultimate adversary of God. Pagans do not believe in or worship Satan. Their spiritual framework is entirely different. It predates Christianity and does not include the concepts of heaven, hell, or a singular, all-evil being. Another false idea is that pagans seek to cause harm or practice black magic. In reality, the vast majority of pagan traditions are built upon a foundation of deep ethical principles. The Wiccan ready, and it harm none, do what ye will, is a perfect example. This simple phrase guides practitioners to consider the consequences of their actions and to live in a way that respects the freedom and well-being of all living things. The core of pagan ethics is about responsibility, to oneself, to others, and to the earth. The goal is not to control or harm, but to live in balance and harmony with the world. Some people also worry that paganism is about rejecting science and logic in favor of superstition. While paganism is a spiritual path that embraces mystery, intuition, and experiences that cannot be measured in a laboratory, it does not require a rejection of the modern world. In fact, many pagans see science as a powerful tool for understanding the physical workings of the universe, which they view as sacred. They might see the Big Bang as a beautiful creation story, or evolution as the divine process of life unfolding. For many, spirituality and a rational scientific worldview can and do coexist peacefully. Finally, there is a belief that to be a pagan, you must dress or act in a certain way, maybe wearing flowing black robes and living in a remote cabin. While some may choose that aesthetic, it is not a requirement. Pagans are people from all walks of life. They are teachers, doctors, computer programmers, artists, and parents. They live in cities, suburbs, and the countryside. Paganism is not about an outward appearance. It's about an inner orientation. It's about how you see the world and your place in it. It's a quiet, personal reverence for nature and a commitment to living an authentic, meaningful life. If you feel a pull toward this way of seeing the world, you may be wondering, where do I begin? The most important advice is to be patient with yourself and with the journey. This is not a race. The first and most valuable step is to read. Read widely and from a variety of sources. There are countless books on general paganism, as well as specific paths like Wicca, Druidry, or heathenry. Read about mythology, folklore, and history. As you read, notice what ideas excite you, which gods or goddesses call to you, and which practices feel right. This initial stage is about gathering information and planting seeds of knowledge. The second step is to go outside and simply observe. Paganism is an earth-based spirituality, so your greatest teacher is the earth itself. Watch the sunrise and sunset. Learn to identify the trees and plants that grow in your area. Pay attention to the phases of the moon. Feel the change in the air as one season gives way to the next. You do not need to perform any grand rituals. The practice can be as simple as sitting under a tree and listening. This act of paying attention builds a relationship with the land you live on, which is the foundation of any pagan practice. As you read and observe, consider keeping a journal. This is not a diary of daily events, but a record of your spiritual journey. Write down your thoughts, feelings, and questions. Record interesting dreams or moments of synchronicity. Note what you are learning about nature and how it makes you feel. A journal becomes a safe space for you to explore your burgeoning path without judgment. It also allows you to look back over time and see how your understanding has grown and changed. It is a powerful tool for self-discovery and for charting your own unique course. A final piece of practical advice is to start simple. You do not need to rush out and buy expensive robes, a set of fancy tools, or a library of ancient texts. Your intention is your most powerful tool. Your sacred space can be a small corner of a bookshelf. Your offering can be a simple glass of water. As you explore, be mindful and respectful, especially of traditions from cultures that are not your own. Paganism is ultimately a path of connection. It is about building relationships with the earth, with the divine, with your community, and most importantly, with your own true self. I invite you to remain curious, to ask questions, and to see where this beautiful path may lead you.